Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. I am joined with Chris and Randall today. This is our Tuesday crew as we're ramping up for draft season. Randall, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good. Tuesdays are starting. It's August. Football's coming. This game we're previewing is Saturday, right? Week 0. That's insane.
Yeah. So college football right around the corner. Chris, it's good to have you on a podcast again. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm looking for, as I said, I talked with Nino Brown this past week. We're excited about college football. A little bit depressed only because this will be the final year that we ever have Lee Corso on ESPN Game Day. So it's one of those things. All of a sudden, it's like, holy crap! Another guy from our childhood is gone. This guy sucks.
Hey, he lasted a long time with the program. I'm glad he kept doing it for a while. With all the scares and stuff.
Yeah. So this is the first of many podcasts like this that we're going to make in August and September. We're going to preview the Iowa State Kansas State game. But we're not going to talk about X's and O's so much. We're going to talk about the players in the draft that are in this game. So while you might say Iowa State, Kansas State, it's a Big 12 game, there are a lot of players in this game that are fighting for top 100 grades. So Domonique Orange, the defensive lineman from Iowa State. Randall, is that the highest ranked player in this game? Is Domonique Orange the highest ranked player in this game for you?
He is. Domonique Orange is my defensive lineman number 5, I believe. And he is super powerful. NFS has him great put at 6'1", but I'm seeing a lot of more 6'4". On tape, he looks 6'4". I'm surprised that NFS has it at 6'1", but he's 245. He's a redshirt senior. He's coming back from a season-ending injury in 2023, but he's coming off one of his best second half of the year last year. His pass rush exploded in the final second half with, I believe, 5 sacks in the final 4 games, a lot of tackles for loss. He had a 10% pass rush win rate in that final. He's a big guy at 325, but he moves quick. There's a pool of players that are super interesting at that 325 mark, like Cameron Ball from Arkansas, Caleb Banks from Florida, Domonique Orange from Iowa State, that move quicker than 325 pounds, and you're kind of surprised that they can move that quickly. So I put him in that bowl that I'm super interested to see how he does. Primarily moved to nose tackle in that second half, and I think that's what kind of exploded at that point. And I'm excited to see – I'm sorry, he had 4 QB hits, not 4 sacks in that second half. But I'm excited to see him grow off that second half. And one of my favorite things for summer scouting is seeing players ascend at the end of the year, especially if they're sophomores or juniors going into their final year. But seeing that uptick in production in the back half and hopefully expected to come in the next year while we watch in August and September. Chris, have you taken a look at Domonique Orange?
I have, and he's the guy who's boom or bust. It's sort of, you look at his size, you look at his pass rush upside, and you're going, this could be a first round pick because he has those tools. He's a guy that scouts and GMs look and go, if we get him right, he's Dexter Lawrence. And then there's stuff you look and go, well, his arm length can sometimes hinders his pad ability. He sometimes over pursuits, runs out of his gaps. Still needs technique work, but as you said, you look at him. He is what you looking at for a defensive tackle. He can beat pass rushes with double teams. He's a big guy. He's not too big in terms of 340, 350. You're going, okay, he needs to be on a diet, but the sky's the limit for the guy. You just got to figure out, well, can this year be the year where he goes, all right, my technique's going to get better. I'm going to work on beating double teams in the rush. I'm going to not over pursue and show that he can be more controlled.
Yeah, and Domonique Orange is going to be going up against an offensive line at Kansas State. I have one draftable player on Kansas State, and that's offensive tackle Sam Hecht. Randall or Chris, do you guys have any other draftable offensive linemen that are on Kansas State?
I don't. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, there's a lot of redshirt seniors like Taylor Poitier, let's see, John Pastor, but they have a transfer coming in. I don't have any draftable grade. And then we're talking about Sam Hecht, right? The tackle.
Yeah.
He played a lot of center. I think he should move to tackle. I think if he is moving to tackle, but he had a lot of center reps. He's light, which is a little concerning for me at 6'4", 287. So I'm curious. I think Domonique Orange is going to kind of take over him if he moves into the 3-tech role. But he's light at 287. Hopefully he gained weight, getting closer to 300 coming into this year. But his light weight definitely shows on tape because it's hard for him to anchor in the center. And if he goes low man, he can get pushed down pretty easily. I have him as a 7th round if somebody sneaks in on there as a draftable, but maybe closer to a PFA. I would like to see him gain a little bit of weight. He is strong in the outside runs if you need to pull him across the line, anything along those lines. He's great at that. But other than that, I don't see much that I would see as a draftable grade. Again, his grip strength has a timer because he's 287 when I watch tape. He can hold on to a 3-tech for 3 seconds, and then basically that 3-tech can power him. So he's got to build power other than having that kind of taller center frame. But Chris, did you see anything out of Sam?
Not really. As I said, you want him to get bigger. To me, the bigger question, though, for this game is going to be for Orange. All right, what happens now when he's going to be the focal point? I mean, you look at Iowa State; they got a bunch of transfers: Vontroy Malone, Tamatoa McDonough from Yale. So this could be, this game. You probably, if you are Kansas State, you're going, all right. Hey, we're going to double team, triple team them. They have a senior transfer, JB Nelson, who they brought in. Wouldn't be surprised if Hecht and Nelson will go right after Orange. Wouldn't be surprised even if, Poitier. Orange is one guy you look at and go, and Kansas State's going to go, all right, we're going to stop him. There's nothing else we really fear. We don't know the rest of the defensive line for Iowa State, is either unproven or from Yale or smaller programs. So this is going to be the test for Orange. Like, all right, what happens now when you're double team, triple team all the time? Can you beat those, or is he going to get just frustrated a lot?
I don't know. I don't know how much of the trenches game it might be. I think it may be more of a secondary and a dual threat quarterback game, to be honest with you, because the trenches are not great. Domonique Orange is very good, but you're right. They could double team them and kind of go from there. Kansas State has their linebackers that can rush, but the defensive backs are probably what's going to play. And then what Iowa State brought over in replace of Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll will kind of be a big test on who Rocco is, to be honest with you, and see if he is much of anything. I'm not high on him as a quarterback from Iowa State, and I think losing Higgins and Knoll is pretty huge. I believe Higgins and Knoll last year when they played each other, Iowa State won, but I believe Rocco threw 2 touchdowns. One was to Higgins and one was to Knoll. So who are you replacing in that offense, especially with his inconsistencies and things like that, is going to be probably the biggest test when it comes to that game.
Yeah, and I think we should add that, when we do a draft preview, we have 2 quarterbacks that are draft eligible in this game, and we started with the defensive tackle.
Yeah,
that might tell you that might tell you everything you need to know about the quarterback play in this game.
Yeah.
But there's also some wide receivers in this game that maybe not everybody has heard about, but come April, you may be hearing Jerand Bradley from Kansas State, Chase Sowell from Iowa State, or Jayce Brown from Kansas State. Chris, out of those 3 receivers, who do you have highest? Chase Sowell, Jayce Brown, Jerand Bradley.
That is tough because all of them are sort of unproven. I probably would go with maybe Jayce Brown, but again, none of these wide receivers to me scream like, okay, day one, day two. It's like, well, do they have the size? Do they have the speed? Can they? And look, it's tough because as you said, neither quarterback is a guy you think can elevate it. So it's sort of like, is chicken and the egg. Are these, is Jayce Brown, because of his production, is he going to get hurt because, he has a running quarterback in Avery Johnson who, sometimes is hot, sometimes isn't? Or is Avery Johnson, doing better because Jayce Brown, can actually get, is, hot. So I'll just go. Jayce Brown to me, I guess, is the guy I'm leaning with. But to me, the best offensive skill player, on both sides is tight end for Iowa State, Benjamin Brahmer.
Yeah.
We should have thrown his name in too. You're right. Random, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I definitely think it's Jayce Brown for sure. Jayce Brown, overall, I mean, he had 847 catches, 820 yards, 5 touchdowns. He had a productive year last year, no doubt. 6 foot 175. Chris, you are right about the running quarterback with Avery Johnson. I think they're like 10 pounds apart, if I'm not mistaken. Avery Johnson might be listed at like 187, I think. And then Jayce Brown is listed at 175. But, Jayce Brown's a good slot receiver. He had 2.27 yards per route run, and he is fluid when he gets the ball at 5.9 yards after the catch per reception. My big issue with Jayce Brown is obviously his drops. He has 6 drops, and they're pretty heavy drops. One was for a touchdown that was like so easy to grab, like, middle school catch sort of thing. But he can work on that for sure. Drops can be consistent or inconsistent. It depends on the player. But I like Jayce Brown's route running. We did post. I did give credit to Jim. Even though he doesn't look at it when he was selling this pod, somebody posted Jayce Brown's route running and said it's one of the best in this draft, which is definitely overstating it. But his shining moment is route running. He does cut really well at the stem, and he does it at 3 different speeds. He can put his foot in the ground and do a quick out with moving his shoulders, or he can lightly put it in the ground and take off for a vertical route. Last year, Jayce Brown, when they played, Jayce Brown actually had 2 touchdown catches from Avery Johnson, and he was basically most of their offense. One came on a sick vertical route where he put his foot in the ground and took off, had like 5 yards of separation, and the other one was a perfectly placed ball by Avery Johnson on a fade. But he's got really good route running. He just looks very uncomfortable catching the ball. And Avery Johnson does not do him any favors. I think Avery Johnson and Rocco are pretty similar in their inconsistencies on their throwing. Their depth isn't good. They can't put it on the number sort of thing. So that doesn't help Jayce Brown. But I do believe that Jayce Brown is a draftable receiver that could move into a top 175, top 150 with his route running if he can clean up his drops and then just have efficient touchdowns in that department. But there are good other players. I mean, Iowa State, you could say Brahmer. I would say Brahmer is a really, really good tight end. I really like his route running. I like his physicality when he's running his routes. I feel like no physicality diminishes his route running, doesn't slow him down, keeps his timing down. So I do love that about him. But Iowa State did pick up Chase Sowell or Sowell. I apologize if I said his name wrong and you might be watching. But they basically found him from East Carolina, and I love ECU, as a Higgins replacement. 6'4", 195, kind of stick style, tall, thin, just like Higgins. And he's shifty, and he has great releases as press man. It is. It is. I lost my train of thought. Chase out. So he's a lot like Jaden Higgins when it comes down to it. He's twitchy at the line of scrimmage, just like Higgins. He has good route running, good at the stem, and he's that tall, thin kind of stick-like receiver. So we'll see how he transfers from East Carolina. He could stay in Iowa State for another year and declare in 2027, which I think he'll do. But I'm really interested to see how he operates in the system, especially with Rocco having Higgins last year. He could obviously grow on that, and then they can learn, be like, well, listen, Higgins was a second-round pick. This is what we did. Let's follow that. And do it. And I think he could get good production out of there.
And one of the other things that we should point out about specifically Kansas State's wide receivers, so that would be Jerand Bradley and Jayce Brown, is that they're going up against 2 draftable corners. right? So this is, if you need a team to watch a wide receiver against, Iowa State is that defense, right? Because Randall, you said that you have Jontez Williams, like I think you said was he corner 11 for you?
Yeah, top 100 player for sure.
And then how high do you have Jeremiah Cooper?
Jeremiah Cooper is outside my 150. He's in like the 150 to 200 range. My issue with Jeremiah Cooper is his tackling, because he's a versatile guy, and that's actually positive in there. He plays in the slot, he could be a nickel defender, and he plays safety as well. So he's a hybrid of that. But probably in a top 3 thing that you need to do is be able to tackle well if you're versatile in those 3 positions. And he has over a 25% missed tackle rate. So that's an issue that he needs to clean up for sure. Obviously, technique is his issue, and he can learn from there. But he does have a lot of experience. He's gotten targeted a lot, 57 targets last year, so he's been in that game, and he has under a 60% reception rate for being also a safety and a nickel and a slot sort of thing, so that's impressive. He's got good production at 2 interceptions and 7 pass breakups last year. So he's got some good traits. He's a better box safety, because he is versatile in that slot and nickel, so he's better in the box for sure. He can close well as long as he can get the tackle down, but at a 190 build is where kind of maybe that missed tackle rate comes from. An extra 5 to 7 pounds would work. So I have him in the 150 to 200 range if he can move up with his versatility, get that tackling fixed, and probably another year to learn IQ and zone awareness, and he could definitely rise.
Yep. And Chris, how about you? Where do you have Jontez Williams and Jeremiah Cooper, the corners from Iowa State, on your board right now?
Jontez Williams, I'm higher on just because we know what he is. He's a cornerback, 5'11", 200 pounds, 4 interceptions. Last year, he was anywhere between left corner, right corner, depending on who was the better matchup for either Darian Porter or Miles Purchase. He's not too tall, but he has a height. He's a good cover man. I'm just not sure as I said, with Jeremiah Cooper, it's sort of like, all right, well, are you a safety? Are you a corner? He reminds me of Jamari Connor, where it's like the Chiefs try to figure out, well, yeah, he can play some nickel, but he's not really great because, as you said, the tackling ability is not there. He can play safety, but it's sort of like, well, he's not a hard hitter. He's like one of those guys where it's sort of the beauty's in the eye of the beholder. It's like some teams look and go, we'll wait till like 4th round, 5th round. Some teams will look at him and go, you know what, maybe, depending on his production, how he looks, if he can get a better tackler, they'll go, we'll take him in the 2nd round. He's like Shamari Connor. He is sort of, a shorter version of, Nick Emanawari, a guy you can just play around and go, well, safety, cornerback if we need to. Hey, maybe even if we're really desperate, one of those cover linebackers. It's sort of football player.
Yeah, a Cam Lewis, if you will, Jim.
So a couple, we have some other good matchups. So we have linebacker Austin Romaine from Kansas State going up against running back Carson Hansen of Iowa State. Chris, what do you have on Carson Hansen?
I like him. I mean, look, he is. Here's the good news. I like with the linemen when they're in the Big 12. They can pass block because they have to with all the dropbacks here. I'd probably like to see him. I apologize here because this is my. I guess with Carson, it's sort of like, okay, can you take it to the next level? He can. He's a big. He's 6'2", 220. When I've seen highlights, he can catch it out of the backfield. He can block if he needs to. He's not a speed guy, but he's a power guy. I guess for us, like, can he be more shiftier? Is he a guy that you look and go? People look, well, he's not fast enough. This might be Carson Steele 2.0. But I like him because he once again he's diverse. He can play inside. He can play inside with the power run. He can go outside, catch pass, which we've seen. He's a jack of all trades running back, which I like. You can put him in any kind of offense.
So, Randall, how about you? If you have to look at the matchup between running back Carson Hansen of Iowa State and linebacker Austin Romaine of Kansas State, how do you see like the linebacker? Like, are we going to see some open field? Can the running back shake? Can the running back shake the linebacker? Like, how do you see that?
I see Austin Romaine winning that battle, to be honest with you. Austin Romaine, I think, is a really, really good box linebacker. I think he can improve to be an all three facet guy, but right now he's just a really good box safety. He comes to the line really well, 6'2", 240, only junior. He is good at pressuring as well, so I think Austin Romaine will have maybe a sack in this game to start off as well. While they use the pressures, they have 22 pressures, 2 sacks, and 4 QB hits. He's a really good box safety. He's good at read and react. He's patient. He does a really good job at keeping his jersey clean so that he can attack and still be at the second level without getting blocked. So I really like that. I see Austin Romaine winning it, especially because what Chris had mentioned is that Carson Hansen, and I do believe Iowa State's going to be more of a running back by committee. I think that they're going to run a hot hand of Abu Sama III and Carson Hansen together. Whoever's got the hot hand is going to run it. They're two different backs, even though like one's 5'11", 210, Hansen 6'2", 220. So they're like 10 pounds apart, but 3 inches shorter on one side. But I think it's going to be a hot hand. Carson Hansen doesn't, just like Chris said, doesn't really have great vision on outside runs. Carson Hansen needs a hole. So when he's taking that hole, if Austin Romaine's watching tape, all you got to do is kind of plug that hole and stop him, in my opinion. He's not the best cutter. He has some moves to him if you need to adjust, like a spin move and something like that. But his goal, kind of like a James Conner, is find that hole, run vertical, let people try to arm tackle you because I'm 6'2", 220, and you're not going to take me down, and then I'll get as many yards as possible. He only had 23 missed tackles for us and then 3.23 yards after contact. But I agree with that segment, whoever that person said about Abu Sama III, is he is more of a shiftier back at 5'11", 210, and he is a guy that is really good in the passing game as well. So if you're going to use a running back screen or a wheel or even just a pitch out to the outside, Sama can beat him around that bend and take him over. So I definitely agree with Taylor. That's a great call. But I do believe that they'll run a hot hand throughout the season between those two and probably have similar carries by the end of the year.
Yep. So Taylor is a draft professor. He podcasts
I see the name, but yes, I know
Thursdays.
Taylor. Yeah.
He podcasts on Thursdays. He's if I remember correctly, I think a Broncos fan. Taylor.
Okay, so he's in the Kansas State area, so he knows.
I wanted to say Broncos, and then he and Owen had a couple of things in common, but I think it was basketball players that they liked. It wasn't the University of Washington. So I'm because Taylor and Owen really hit it off when they met.
Here's just a quick. Sorry to jump in, Randall. This is a question for you and also Jim. If you're Kansas State, though, you lost Brendan Mott. He had 8.5 sacks. None of the last year there wasn't like this big pass rusher. So if you're Kansas State defense coordinator, how do you use Romaine in this game? Do you have more as a pass rusher? Do you have, since neither defensive end for Kansas State really is a pass rusher? I mean, will we see him more as an elephant linebacker this game rather than a sideline to sideline linebacker?
I would use him in pass rush and then in read and react and then a spy for a Rocco, because Rocco does like to run and he's dual threat. So if you run a cover one, you can put him in the middle to play his zone and then react to his dual threat ability. And I would use him as a pass rush, to be honest. I do like his pass rush. Sometimes Austin Romaine will come just with explosion. Hopefully over the offseason, he kind of is coming more with a plan, using his shoulder, using like a swim move more often because he has a good swim move when he uses it. But I would probably use him as a pass rusher and stopping the run and then use my secondary to make turnovers.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, we have another running back linebacker matchup. So we have Dylan Edwards, the running back from Kansas State. And then Iowa State has a draft eligible linebacker named Caleb Bacon. Funny story about Caleb Bacon, because I went on Twitter and I searched Caleb Bacon to try to find a tweet. And I found a tweet for Caleb Rosenfeld, who went to Roger Bacon High School here in Cincinnati. And the funny thing is, 10 years ago, I coached Caleb Rosenfeld in soccer.
Yeah, that's wild.
Wow.
But he is now going to be playing baseball in college. So that's my Caleb Bacon from Iowa State story. I couldn't actually find a clip of him. But Randall, where do you have Dylan Edwards on your running back board?
Dylan Edwards is in the 200 area. I didn't fully draft him because I do want to see more of him this year and see how he kind of has another year under his belt. I mean, he had good stats. He was 74 attempts at 546 and 5 touchdowns, but he's 5'9" and 167 pounds. So my major concern is his short light frame, and how is there a spot for him in the NFL? He's super explosive, super agile. He's used in the receiving game really well. He's got 19 catches, 133 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he's great in there. He's got good route running as well. Chipping and then coming off of it into his route, and then catching and running is very fluid. He's a 100% effort guy. Like he widely enough, at 5'9", 167 pounds, he has 4.15 yards after contact. And that's not his weight. That's him just being a boss at running and just not letting anybody tackle him, and it shows it. People go for the shoulders, and he just kind of lets it go, and he keeps running. He had a really good game against Colorado, and if you're looking at that Colorado game, he was good in the passing and the run game. If you get that on a consistent basis, then I will have him in the draftable. Exactly. I'll have him in the draftable. It's just it's kind of like the Suntarine Perkins, right? Ole Miss. It's like, man, you got all, like, your production matches who you are on tape, but what happens when you go to the NFL and you're 210 pounds, right? So I'm curious to see. I didn't immediately evaluate him for Taylor's reason right there. So I want to see this year out of him, and if he consistently does it again or better, then we're going to have a conversation that he can fit in the NFL.
Chris, anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's tough because, again, the speed is there. He's elusive. He's slippery. He returns kicks. I mean, as you said, if he was 6'2", 210, we're going first round, second round draft pick here. It's a no-brainer. But because it's he's 5'9", 175 pounds, and it's that's wink wink, probably 5'8", 160 pounds. You're going, crap, he's going to get broken in half. We're worried about this. Again, this is a guy where it's like you need the right coach. So Brashard Smith is the perfect example. In the Chiefs, he'll be dynamic because Andy Reid's going to go, ooh, this is another weapon, and I can use him. And the mad scientist, somebody like that, where it's like a Kyle Shanahan, Kevin O'Connor, they'll look and go, ooh, we can swing out of the backfield. We can have him kick returns. They will find ways to get him in. He's not going to be an every down running back, but he's that jack of all trades, Jerick McKinnon, where if he can prove he can handle up, or if he's put some weight on you, like, all right, 10-year pro, will find ways around everywhere because he can just get into the backfield, get out of the backfield, go on against a linebacker, and he's that nightmare matchup.
Yeah, Brashard Smith is 200 pounds, so that's it. Like I can't do apples and apples there because Brashard Smith is 200 pounds. He was a wide receiver converted to running back, so I get that kind of comparison. And you could see that at SMU. It's basically just like Chase Brown.
Or Deuce Vaughn is a better example, probably.
There you go. Deuce Vaughn's probably a better one. But like Chase Brown, like SMU used Chase Brown like the Bengals. Basically, their rushing was passing. It was just a quick pass and then let him go sort of thing. So, Deuce Vaughn would be better. But again, Deuce Vaughn is, fighting to a roster spot at the moment sort of thing.
Okay. I'm looking at the player list, and I definitely see a guard, Dylan Barrett from Iowa State, and another guard, Brendan Black from Iowa State. Randall, do you have draftable grades on either of them right now?
I do not. Dylan Barrett, I didn't put a full grade on him, but I do like his size at 6'5", 330. He had an ankle injury, so he only played the left guard for 8 games, and now he's coming back to full force. So I watched his tape. I liked what I saw. He's a very good Dylan's a very good pass blocker. I believe he only had 1 sack in those 8 starts and only 4 pressures in those starts. He looks good. He has a good anchor. He's good size. I just need to evaluate him more coming back from the ankle injury, especially being a guard. And then Brendan Black, he definitely needs to improve his pass blocking. He's got stones for feet. Sometimes you can tell when he pulls, he moves slow. He definitely needs to increase his footwork, increase his hand fighting, and be able to just respond well. An explosive first step pushes him back 2 steps and things along those lines. His run blocking is okay. I'm interested to see how he turns out this year, but I do not have a draftable grade on him.
Okay. Chris, how about you? On either of the guards for Iowa State, do you have a draftable grade on either?
Not yet. And as I said, it's the funny thing is, if you combine both of them, you get a perfect guard. You guy can run
probably.
Yep. Yeah. One guy. It's like, I mean, I guess the Barrett's the guy I would keep my eye on just because he has a size. He's 6'5", 330. He has a mean streak. Teams are always looking for guards who can run block. Yeah, the pass blocking is going to be in trouble, but it's size. So neither guy you look and go, maybe at best 7th round, undrafted free agent. Neither of them stands out like, we need to have this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little twist. Who do you think will be the more dominant defensive player in the game for Kansas State? Safety VJ Payne or linebacker Austin Romaine?
Austin Romaine for me, yeah. VJ, I like VJ Payne. He's got some good work to do. He's got a good size on him. He's better in the box. I like him in the box for sure. He looks very lost in the intermediate. So, playing in the box and then having to come out in coverage in the intermediate is rough. In the deep, he plays far back as a last line of defense, kind of conservatively, so then he can move forward when he can instead of taking chances in zone and things along those lines. He's definitely better as a strong safety or in the box. And I like Austin Romaine. I like his size. I like his effort. He does have issues with the sideline to sideline, but I think if he improved his coverage, he could get into a seriously draftable grade for me for Austin Romaine. VJ Payne, same, but I would give the edge to Austin Romaine.
Chris, how about you? Between VJ Payne and Austin Romaine?
Romaine, because I think they're going to – because if you're Kansas State, and especially if you are Joel Klanderman, you're going to look and go, okay, Romaine, we're going to use him in different ways. It's like, okay, we don't have a pass rush, so we're going to use him as a blitzer. We're going to try to stop the run. So he's going to go sideline to sideline. And as you said, he is the most complete player of the two. So they'll probably even have him as a spy at times, making sure that, Becht doesn't take off. And next thing you know, it's 3rd and 10, Becht's run for 11 yards because nobody's covering him.
Yep.
Okay. So just so you know, Randall, you may have to fight Anthony Russo because, VJ Payne is his guy.
VJ Payne's his guy. I probably need to watch a little bit more. I watched only 3 games of him so far, but I like him. He's very good in the box. His closing speed is incredible. He can come 30 yards out and still get a tackle for loss. So his mental and run pass is very, very good, and I'm a big fan. I'm just concerned about his coverage on an overall basis. The intermediate was kind of killing me when he would come forward, showing maybe he's going to play the line of scrimmage and then stay in the intermediate. He just looked like he wasn't even in a quadrant that he's supposed to be in, or even finding a guy to observe. He was more or less like, okay, is a pass going to come in front of me where I can tackle that person? Was almost kind of where the mental and the IQ I had for him. But again, I do think he's got a great size to him, and he's good in the box. I just want to see a little bit more out of him. Sorry, Russo, if you're watching.
Do you think VJ Payne at the NFL level is a safety, or does he move to linebacker or slot?
It's tough because you got to wonder about, does he have enough size to get through to get through tight ends and guards when he's blitzing? I mean, that's the thing nowadays. Linebackers have to be sort of those tall enough to be a defensive end in a sense, 6'5", 6'4". They have to cover linebackers, so you want them to be big enough but fast enough. I think Payne is a strong safety. I mean, look, I like him. He's good. He's excellent to run. It's just, hey, anytime you're shorter than 6'3" for a linebacker, that's always going to be trouble when you're covering tight ends, when you're covering sometimes even wide receivers who they're going to find matchups. So that's why I like Romaine. He is that jack of all trades. We can use him in everything. And in the league where it's pass happy, you're trying to get, sacks, pressure, getting the quarterback. To me, Payne is sort of strong safety is not as important anymore.
Well, and that's kind of where I was going with that question, Chris.
And
I think he would be a better nickel or a slot, to be honest with you. Overall linebacker, you'd have to gain some weight, but at 6'3", he certainly can. He's not filled out even to the slightest bit. But yeah, I mean, I think he would do better in the intermediate in coverage if he had more roles and like immediate direct roles. So if he knows who he has to cover, then he's better in coverage that way, and more just like, okay, I got to look for this at 1. If that doesn't hit, then I'm going to number 2. I think that would be his best suit to do that. So then he's not running free. Like, safeties are more or less mental and you kind of making your decisions for you. If those decisions are off his plate, I think he would be fantastic. I agree.
So, and then a similar but different question on linebacker Austin Romaine from Kansas State. Is his NFL position the Mike linebacker, the weak side linebacker? Is he going to need to be moved around more like a Micah Parsons was when he first came in? Because you guys are saying like Kansas State, you guys are projecting that Romaine will move around on defense because that's the matchup that defense needs to generate a pass rush. Is that the same way he would be used at the NFL level, or is he going to be strictly a linebacker?
He'll be strictly a linebacker. He's built differently than like Parsons. Parsons can like sneak through it. He's got incredible speed, like explosion and speed. Austin Romaine does not have that. More or less, he's gaining his pressures through coming from the second level in the middle, and then getting through the A gap or the B gap sort of thing. And it works. It's just sometimes he doesn't come with a plan. I think more pressures will come with if he kind of sets up his center or guard going through those gaps and stuff like that. But I don't think that moving him around as like an edge is really what I was referencing. I was more or less using him in multiple ways, but keeping that Mike linebacker role to read and react and stop the run.
Okay.
I compare him to here's the perfect player comparison, though. Drew Tranquill. He is sort of at Drew Tranquill where he's more. I'd say he's probably has a higher upside in terms of covering tight ends. He's a little bit taller, 2 inches taller, but he's not going to be this pass rushing like David Bradley type of linebacker where you can use him as an edge. But he'll be the middle linebacker, maybe a outside coverage linebacker. But he's smart. He's heady. He knows how to play in systems, and I think that's a guy you can look at and go, all right. Coverage linebacker, run supporter, blitzer, but you're a linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas State only had 1 sack against them last year in their game, so it was inexistent last year, but that did not work out for them. So we'll kind of see how they adjust, right? Because Iowa State ended up winning that game on basically on defense in the fourth quarter. So we'll see. They didn't have much pass rush last game, kept it pretty close, but we'll have to see how they adjust and go from there for sure.
Okay, so I'm looking through the player list. I think we've talked about most.
Yeah.
Let's pause for our commercials, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up with the quarterbacks. So Randall, welcome back. It's good to see you.
My chaos is pretty much over. I'm excited for the fall starting out. But yeah, at Randall Slifer, you can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I try and interact with everybody there. That's where I do most of my work. I do my NFL scouting and any podcasting that I can do with Jim here with Draft Professors. Going year 2. This is super exciting to be in year 2. I'm so jacked up for it. Super excited about this college year. I also do writing for the University of Arkansas and the Buffalo Bills with Team MBS Media. That's got a bunch of great guys, and I'm part of their NBA draft or NFL Draft Central as well. And I just started doing a Buffalo Bills podcast with Do Champions that goes on Mondays.
You're staying busy. I haven't caught Do Champions yet, but I've got to hit that subscribe so that it shows up on my rotation. So.
Yeah, I'll send you a message. I'm not gonna say it on a podcast about the Do. I love Do Champions, and there's shows on there that we're beating, and I love it.
So is Dude Champions just your podcast, or are there other podcasts too?
There's like 4 or 5, I believe, podcasts, but it's a group of like 10 or 12, and I don't know much about their background, but I know that they were affiliated with a bigger Buffalo company, and they diverted off and did their own thing, which is incredible. Yeah. And they're a great group of guys, super nice, love them.
Awesome. Chris.
Yes.
You want to let everybody know about all of your
content? You can find me on the Last Call podcast. So you can check me out at thelastcallpodcast.com. Later tonight, we'll be dropping an interview with Marcel Dorff talking about UFC 319. This week, me and from Into the Lab podcast, Ernest Silva are going to be talking Cowboys, Texans, and the Dallas Cowboys Netflix show, which should be interesting. It always is with Jerry Jones. You can also check me out on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn. And, yeah, I'm excited about this college football season because there's so much to check in with quarterback situation, tons of edge rushers to talk about, and just the chaos this year of 12 teams, who's going to win. And me and Nino Brown are already talking about, well, what's going on in Michigan, Ohio State. Yeah, should Penn State be the number 1 seed, or is Texas the true number 1 seed, despite us not knowing what Arch Manning is all about?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can follow Draft Professor on X at NFL Draft Fanatic and YouTube at NFL Draft Fanatic. You can also follow us on Spotify. There's a Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft podcast, and all of our podcasts get uploaded to Spotify usually about 24 or 48 hours after the podcast. We have daily draft coverage. So for the next 6 weeks, what we're going to be covering is primarily what we're doing here. We're picking a game, and then we're going to dive into who are the draft eligible players in the game. It will give people time. So, for example, I know from chatting with Randall, he hadn't watched all of the Kansas State or Iowa State players until he was prepping for this podcast. And that's kind of the idea, is even if you're checking off, okay, I don't have the player draftable right now, that's also relatively good intel to know that maybe that's the player that's further down the watch list when we're doing final evals. So that's what we're going to be doing here the next 6 weeks at Draft Professor. You'll see a lot of guests come on. But to wind up summer scouting, we have 2 podcasts tomorrow and Thursday. You've never seen anything like it, but we're doing a master watch list show with Randall, Bill Sparks, Sam Teets, and Travis May from A to Z Sports. Wednesday, tomorrow, they're podcasting all the players in their offense, all the players in their top 150 on offense. And then on Thursday, it's all the players they have in their top 150 on defense. And the boards aren't the same players.
Not even
right?
close.
Like, Sam is like, Jim, you're missing this offensive lineman, you're missing this offensive line, right? And then somebody's telling me, Jim, you're missing this corner. So there's going to be some new names that you haven't seen. And if 4 people share their top 150, I bet 225 names get covered across the 4 podcasters.
Without a doubt.
So that's going to be, this is basically 4 really respected people saying, here are my top 150 coming out of the summer. My opinion is that anybody in the draft community should have eyes on all 225 players that are covered. So that is tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern, and you'll see that right here on the Draft Professor. So that's why you hit subscribe, is so you know when we do something really unique like that, you are notified immediately. Mm-hmm. That being said, we have saved, I'm going to say the marquee names for last. I don't want to say the best for last. I'll just say the marquee names. There's 2 quarterbacks playing in the Kansas State Iowa State game. Avery Johnson of Kansas State, Rocco Becht of Iowa State. Chris, which of those 2 quarterbacks do you have ranked higher?
Right now, just now, in terms of everything that they are, I would probably put, and hear me out, Rocco Becht I have higher. I have him as just because right now he is the most NFL ready. Like when you look at him, you go, okay, a quick release, catchable ball, good mechanics, understands the offense. He's Dylan Gabriel. He's a guy that fits in the system, and you go, okay, well, he won't lose the game. But that's what he is. I mean, this is as high as you're going to go. He's not going to be the guy who's going to win games for you. He'll make plays with his legs, but he's not, a fast runner. To me, he's, that middle guy. Mac Jones, Dylan Gabriel. Okay, you're fine. Avery Johnson a little bit lower because he's inconsistent, but you look and this is a guy, if he puts it together, you go, all right, well, put some weight on. He's fast. He has the arm. He has the tools. This is somebody you could all of a sudden sneak up into maybe a first-round pick, not in 2026, but 2027. And it's, as I said, it's the problem. The question I have, and you guys could probably ask with Avery Johnson is, does he have the coaching available, and does he have the mentality to go, okay, play smarter, make the right passes, actually develop into a passer rather than just a thrower?
Well, I honestly don't think both are great throwers, to be honest with you. That's where I don't think that both are NFL quarterbacks. I think I'm going to since I don't believe that both are really NFL quarterbacks at the moment, and they certainly can become NFL quarterbacks, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to give it to Avery Johnson because I think he's a better college quarterback. I think his dual threat ability is awesome. He's got, 111 attempts, 699 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns just in the rushing, and then he's got 25 touchdowns passing with 2,700. But I was looking at both these quarterbacks, and I think they had like 3.5% turnover-worthy plays, and I'm surprised that it was at 3.5%. I thought it'd be higher, to be honest with you. My big issue with Rocco is he is kind of just a first-read guy, and that's what I don't like about it. He will do his three-step drop, one-step hitch, and just release it to his first read. And that's constantly, what's up, Newt? And that's kind of what I see him do. And he constantly does it without even almost like looking where it is or even have any pre-snap mentality.
Yeah.
He throws it into double coverage. He throws it into triple coverage because that's his first read, and that's kind of who he's throwing to. I'm not sure. I don't know Iowa State's OC or head coach enough to know if that's what they're telling him to do, sort of thing. But he's throwing ducks into double or triple coverage on a basis, and he's thrown it with like 1.5 seconds since he had the ball. So he's not looking at a second read. He's not even pre-snap looking to see if that's going to be covered. But so that's what I don't like about Rocco. And if he consistently did that, and when he had the help of Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll that could separate so well, how is that going to translate to a transfer from ECU and the other wide receivers that they got? So I'm concerned with how Rocco does this year in comparison to last year. And he can hold on the ball for a little bit. He has 11% pressure to sack. He only has a 92 passer rating. His rushing ability is there. I do like his decision making when to get out of the pocket and run. He does make that decision and kind of take off. But when it comes to Avery Johnson, there you go. That's what I'm talking about, Newt. We got to talk about coaching soccer. It's us three coach soccer, and I'm curious to see what he's coaching. But Avery Johnson has a strong arm, but he's massively inconsistent when it comes down to it. And the crazy thing is that he's inconsistent on all three levels. His short passing's inconsistent, his intermediate passing's inconsistent, and his deep ball's inconsistent as well. Even though Avery Johnson's sitting at 190, can still throw that ball 60 yards, so that's impressive. So if Avery gains weight, we could and doesn't lose that rushing ability, we could have a conversation with that and see. Avery Johnson did deal with a 12% drop rate from his wide receivers, so that I think his completion percentage was 53%, and then his adjusted completion percentage was up to 70. That's how many drops he had throughout that season from his wide receiver, so that's a little rough. So I give the tip to Avery Johnson personally.
So Avery Johnson is actually going to be covered on a podcast Thursday. So EJ is picking some sleepers, and we're doing so that's going to be the podcast actually the Taylor is doing with EJ on Thursday. Is EJ pick the sleepers, and then Taylor and Steve are watching the sleepers, so that's going to be a sleeper reaction show.
Nice.
So something different.
Yeah. I think Avery's got like 4.55 speed too. So for a quarterback, that's legit.
Now, Rocco Becht has an additional year of eligibility. He is draft eligible, but he's not guaranteed to be in this draft class. Is that how I understood what you guys were saying?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep.
And
Avery
defensive
Johnson,
Rocco, we'll point this out just quickly. He's had two different offensive coordinators who could be night and day. He went from his in 2023, he had Nate Shellhouse, who is a former quarterback, offense. He's now the offensive passing game specialist for the Rams. And then he left Iowa State for the Rams, and they went with Taylor Mauser, who is a tight ends coach, who they went from multiple to spread. So that's always a question I have with a lot of these quarterbacks. Like, all right, how many – it's sort of like you're trying to basically shove things in their mind, make it very simple as possible, but you're unable to, develop it. And that's why it's so tough trying to figure out, can they take it to the next level? What, are they products of basically just offense coordinators going, and they're going, all right, well, it's my fourth different playbook, fourth different year. I have no idea what the hell's going on. Just throw it to the open man. Throw it to the first because it makes sense for all parties.
Yeah. So, Taylor, thank you for the shout-out there on the eligibility. So, Taylor wanted to do this podcast on Thursday, and then it turned out that I put the sleeper show on without looking at the schedule first. So that was how this podcast got moved to you guys on Tuesday.
Hey, I'm loving the comments. And, yeah, Taylor's nailing it because I agree with so many things he's saying. But, yeah, Avery Johnson's a true junior.
So with the quarterback specifically, I think the best thing for either Avery Johnson and Rocco Becht is actually to put you want to put 7 to 12 good games on film. Be 100%. Consistent. You don't need to be great, but if you eliminate the bad, right, and you're just average to slightly above average, my opinion is their stock is going to go way up.
Bingo.
We have covered, so anybody watching this, if you want more information on the quarterbacks, go to the Draft Professor YouTube, find the quarterback playlist. We've covered 30 of them already, which includes Avery Johnson and Rocco Becht, Arch Manning, right? We've covered 30 of them. We did 6 podcasts where we covered 5 quarterbacks at a time. So if you want to know more and want to hear other opinions, that content is there. You just have to go find the quarterback playlist. But everything I heard from the two of you was the same thing I heard about them when we covered them in July. And that's the consistency needs to be there. And ultimately, I would say that that's probably the same for nearly every player at every position, right? Exactly. Sometimes you want to be the superstar. Like if you're Domonique Orange, we're expecting you to dominate the game, right? But a lot of other players, if you just, let's say, do your 111, do your job. If you're the wide receiver and you run the routes the right way, or if you're the lineman and you are a consistent blocker, your stock is going to move up. And a lot of, if we're saying day 3, maybe 4 to 8 consistent games makes you from a maybe day 3 to a day 3.
100%. Yep.
I think the biggest question for Becht is going to be, it's the chicken and the egg. Were you very good last year because you had Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins, who are 2 NFL caliber wide receivers, and they made you great? Or are you somebody who can elevate your game now that, you're not reliant on throwing to just those 2? Can he mix up more with, a tight end who, in Brandon Brahmer, I'm very high on? Will he start using Chase Sowell and Carson Hansen? Can he actually evolve and go, okay, I don't have my 2 NFL wide receivers, so I'm going to be able to now just look at different people as you guys have pointed out, especially sorry about that. Randall said, I'm not going to just focus on one read. I'm going to start focusing on multiple reads because I don't have those two guys. I got to now adapt to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm nervous about overall, to be honest with you. But I am excited to see what he could do, especially because they picked up the ECU wide receiver. And I am interested in Jayce Sowell, to be honest with you, to see how he ends up going to bigger competition. I like his size. I like his twitchiness. I like his speed. He's a deep ball threat that it's got such threat to it that his comebacks are easy on him because they'll play soft on him. So we'll see how that, especially how Jayce Sowell will go up against Jontez. Jontez is such a good cornerback. He's got a big statement year to make so he could stay in that top 100 and get as close to the second round as he can. I don't think he can become a first rounder, but he's such a baller. So that will be an interesting showing.
So I'm ready for college football this weekend.
Oh, you have no idea.
Like I'm getting pumped up to watch Iowa State, Kansas State.
Same. It's gonna be a good battle.
Right.
Especially because last year was a good game. Iowa State got their 10th win out of that, which, I mean, Kansas State could have had it. They had a lot of opportunities. It was a good game, so they're going to be coming in hungry, especially coming in on week 0.
Yeah. And if you like this, and then we're going to be doing this a lot, and we're starting with a bang on Monday. Because Monday we're covering 2 games. We are covering Alabama, Florida State at 7. And then at 9 o'clock, we're covering LSU Clemson. And if you haven't watched the team previews that we did, go back and watch. Because the LSU podcaster that helped us with the LSU, that's Noah Tingle. And then William, is it Cockerill, I think is your last name, from Clemson. He's a former Clemson player.
Yeah.
He helped us out on the Clemson podcast.
Nice.
Noah and William are going to be on the podcast with us. And Hail Mary Sports is stopping by. So Alex from Hail Mary Sports.
Yeah.
Plus
that's a trio.
Plus Dalton, Hank, and Josh.
Ooh, that's awesome.
So like that room's not even going to be big enough for me.
Yeah, pretty much. Just be in the chat. Let them talk.
Yeah. But no, we have these previews coming. If we see a matchup where either, let's say we haven't covered the team yet, or there's going to be a lot of players to talk about, we're probably going to be covering your favorite team's games. As long as there's draftable players from both teams, we're going to be doing about 10 of these previews a week for the next 6 weeks. So,
I'll say this.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Just quickly, the thing we haven't talked about, which I'm looking forward to, is the coaching matchup. You've got 2 coaches who they recruit and they find players. And when you look at it, it's like Matt Campbell. This is a guy who's in Iowa State. Who the hell thinks, NFL players go to Iowa State? It's in the middle of nowhere. They're in the Big 12. And you hear him go, hey, you know what? He's built a program. They are constantly a winning program. Twice he's, been sniffed around by the NFL for the Jets and the Lions. This is a guy you can say is a guy who can recruit, who knows the X's and O's, and is somebody you could go, hey, you know what? He's probably maybe an NFL head coach within the next year or 2. And on the other side, you've got Chris Kleiman, who a little bit older, but as again, this is a guy who won in North Dakota State, came into Kansas State, and it was a dumpster fire for the most part. They were, coaches in and out, and he has settled the program down. He's gotten them into, that pretty good range of they're in the top 2 or 3 every year, always consistent 9 wins, 10 wins. And again, you shouldn't expect good top-line players to go to Kansas State, but both these coaches find ways to develop them, recruit them, and get NFL players, even though nobody really wants to go to Iowa or Kansas when you're a college kid if you have other options usually.
That point.
And I think what I get out of doing exercises like this is it's Kansas State and Iowa State. And I think the list that we had for this game was close to 18 draft eligible players.
Definitely, yeah.
Right. Like, to me, that's
impressive still.
This is the essence of college football.
Yep.
Right? Because out of those 18, I bet about 6 or 7 get drafted across both teams. So
Yeah.
we're looking at right.
Yeah.
We're looking at 18
Right.
players, and about 7 will get drafted. So, but we are going to close this down for Chris, for Randall, for myself, for the 88 podcasters at the Draft Professor. Thank you for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on 2 different podcasts tomorrow night. So thank you.
Thank you.